Hello and welcome to the wonderful Elana Swart-Traut and to all of you out there. Thank you for joining us today, Elana, and thank you to all the listeners tuning in. How are you doing today?
I am on top of the world today. Thank you very much for asking.
We were just discussing before the call started that, yay, spring has arrived. How do you
We
feel
are so
about it?
ecstatic. The weather has just immediately changed, and you can feel that there's a summer in the air. And with summer and spring, there comes excitement. It's like the air is electric. It's like, what is this bringing to us? So, yes, no, very much excited about this.
Oh, I love it. I love it. Ilana, please could you introduce yourself, where you are, what you do to our audience, and then we'll get started.
Thank you, Janine. I'd love to introduce myself. I am Elana Swart-Traut, a newly published author. I use PSYCH-K as a methodology to help people and clients to transpose their childhood wounding and any other self-limiting beliefs or trauma. And I work remotely or from home. I see clients either at my house or I work remotely, and I see so much success, and it gives me huge satisfaction and gratification to know that I'm able to make a difference. And I think since for the last 3 years, since COVID and that has been such a drawing card for me to be able to make a difference and just help those unlock what they've been struggling with. And that's what I do.
That is so powerful, being able to unlock it.
Mm-hmm.
I love the phrase you used, the sacred dance of healing. You mentioned your book, and
Mm.
we'll get to that as well. Can you explore with us a bit what you mean by that sacred dance of healing? What brought you here on this journey?
So, yes, long story short is that I had a very rare illness, a cancer, that was as a result of a breast implant. So I think because it was self-inflicted to a degree in terms of the fact that it's something that I chose for myself and my body, it became a dance for me in terms of how to marry the subconscious and then the actions and then the healing part. And it was what caused this, and that became the dance. The finding a little tidbit that you can work with, and then you dance around it, you fix it, you work with it, you transpose it, and then you go a little bit deeper and you find another little tidbit. So it's it's definitely it's not a marathon, it's not a sprint. Well, it's a marathon, it's not a sprint, but it's a little intricate dance because you've got to be you are led you leading at some stage, then you are being led, then it's just what happens in the process. And it's definitely a dance because it's not like a recipe. You do this, you do this, you do this. Sometimes you have to go back to step one, then you have to go to step seven. So it's a typical dance. Sometimes it's a foxtrot, sometimes it's a tango, sometimes it's a waltz, just depending on what it is for you at that time.
That is just so powerful. I was fascinated the fact that your book is called Let's Dance. Please share a bit about what people can expect from your book and how they can get hold of it.
So the book explores how childhood wounding links you to certain behaviors and to certain cycles and repetitive patterns that we enter into, and how we cannot overcome, how we struggle to overcome the things that are holding us back.
Mm-hmm.
So it delves into the inner child and the shadow, and the link with parenting, the link with anger, the link with relationships. There's now I've gone a bit blank, but there's quite a few that it links to, and it just shows us and it puts a spotlight on how that is linked to our roots and our childhood. And when you start working with that, it is amazing what you uncover. And people can look for the book at letsdance.life, and there they will find a little bit of more information, and they can also order it
Sorry, order it on?
online
Online.
on the website. They could, yeah,
Okay,
online.
online. Okay.
Shipping starts in November, and then we are able to ship it anywhere in the world.
Oh, that is wonderful. What led you to writing the book? What was the reason behind that?
I think I'm currently in a space where I see a lot of my clients coming through struggling with really deep-seated issues and being oblivious to how they are caused
Mm.
and how to transpose them. And I think having walked the route of ex, exploring for myself how abandonment and neglect caused me to choose breast implants, having walked that route, I now can identify when a person is that I'm working with is struggling with a childhood wound,
Mm.
and I'm able to journey with them into that space, and we are able to put a spotlight on the route and work from there. So there are 5 or 7 basic childhood wounding that we carry through adulthood, and when you are working with someone, it's quite easy to pinpoint
Mm-hmm.
at which point this happened. And I've just thought, you know what, the book is a great hub. I think a book would be informative. It would bring people to the point of already knowing what it is, and if they are then struggling with being able to transform it or change it, then they are able to reach out to whoever to help them assist with that. And that's what it's about.
That is very powerful, especially many people ignore, many people are unaware of the fact that we are imprinted and programmed in those first 7 years and that those woundings come forward. It's something that I know I deal with my clients as well. How did this lead you to working with PSYCH-K? And if you could just explain to people what PSYCH-K is, because I know many are unaware of this modality. And so I'm delighted to be able to have you to share about it.
So PSYCH-K works with the subconscious mind. We use muscle testing, and we are able to transform trauma and any self-limiting beliefs in an instant through the subconscious mind and the processes that we follow. A session for really, really deep work can, like the core belief, can take up to possibly 90 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
And we reset 13 core beliefs.
Mm-hmm.
A trauma incident up to probably 40 minutes, but it's instant change. You are a different person from the very next minute. So for us, how I got there, I trained as a soul coach, and once I had done that, I discovered the modality PSYCH-K, and it just linked beautifully for me. And it wasn't long after I became a PSYCH-K facilitator, advanced facilitator, that I then got the cancer. And it was definitely a very integral part for me in keeping me focused and keeping me safe, and knowing that I can get through this. This was a very aggressive cancer, and that I am able to overcome this. So it formed a big part of my healing. Not initially, I think the shock was too great, but it formed a big part of my healing. But it is a very powerful tool that helps you make changes immediately.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. What was the primary change that came forward for you when you started walking your dance of healing?
Honoring myself.
And what
That
did
was the
you
primary choice. Yeah.
what did you do to begin honoring yourself? I understand you used the PSYCH-K and everything. What
Mm.
was the primary thing you did to honor yourself?
I actually implemented healthy boundaries for myself.
Mm-hmm.
And in that way, I was able to then create a safe environment and a safe working space, safe relationship space for myself as well. And it started with creating boundaries.
Mm. You mentioned something very important there, a safe relationship space. What does that feel like and look like for yourself? And what have you seen within your clients, that safe relationship space?
when you have done the internal work, and you have overcome some of your huge and boulders of limitations, you are able to feel whole and complete in any situation. That, you know, it's so hard to, it's difficult to explain. It's just having this feeling of being absolutely whole and complete and safe at all times. So it doesn't matter in what kind of a relationship I am, client, service provider, that a staff. It's like you have a very deep strength, and it just keeps you anchored, and it's just the safe relationship space that you have all around you, and the way that you are able to interact with people afterwards or through that is just, you feel balanced, you feel supported.
Oh, I love that. You feel supported. Has this had any bearing in, because I know you run and work with a lot of schools. How have you, not how, where have you brought this in working within the schools?
So we bring this in for our learners, particularly in the school that I own. We bring it into the space where learners suffering from anxiety or with anxiety, learners that are struggling to socially integrate, learners who are struggling to study. So learners who don't communicate very well, that those are the areas that we primarily use them in. And also academically, learners struggling with certain subjects, we can also bring that in, and we work that very well. We use that very nicely.
What difference have you seen that this makes? I mean, I can just feel it makes a difference. What is the difference in real terms that you see it making in children's lives?
In children's lives, they communicate better, they have got more self-confidence, they are able to focus, they are able to articulate their needs. Many children that we work with are not able to verbalize what it is that they need.
Okay.
And yes, they have, yeah, I suppose it comes back to our childhood wounding and how we ended up suffering neglect and that kind of thing. But it's articulating what it is that what their needs are, and also just social integration, how they fit in better with the group. And not everything is an issue, not everything is a drama. So that's how we see that working in our environment.
That is beautiful. I have to ask this question. Not that I ever have to do anything. I am definitely choosing to ask this question. What impact has social media had on the children that you work with, and where are you able to, I hesitate to use the word rescue, so let's rather say, where are you able to offer a space of greater safety for them through what you've learned and what you've experienced?
So social media is unfortunately here to stay. And we use a method of sharing of information and showing them the impact if you don't follow appropriate guidelines for yourself, for your age appropriate, of course, guidelines for yourself. And we have, through our support system at school, helped learners to just find a safe space within themselves and make right choices for themselves. Because social media is here to stay. We need to learn how to work with that.
That is actually very powerful. If you had to offer something to our audience that would help them to understand that actual importance of creating boundaries rather than barriers, what would that sound like, look like, feel like, be like? My dogs
in terms of
sorry.
no, that's all right. In terms of everyday life, or in terms, so once you're able to create boundaries for yourself and healthy boundaries, you have got a better work-life balance. You tend to be able to to honor yourself through that process. We all want a very good work-life balance. We don't all want to work ourselves to death. And I think learning how to prioritize what it is that you need and what it is that you need to deliver gets a bit clouded sometimes. So I have found that with my clients, being able to guide them into a healthy space in terms of their boundaries allows them for a better work-life balance. That's one of the biggest things that we have seen. Yeah, I think that's one of, if there's something that stands out for me, that is that.
Yeah. I love the fact that you used the word, you help people harmonize their lives. What is the difference for you between being in harmony and being in balance? Is there a difference for you, and what does it look like?
So being in balance it feels to me like it is, I have this much and I have this much and they hang together and that kind of thing. So if I lift here, whereas in harmony feels like it is a gentle movement, because life isn't black and white. We need to adapt. And if you can put things into harmony instead of imbalance, you are able to adjust according to what the need is at that time. Whereas for me, I just feel that balance is a very concrete thing. It's a very black and white thing. And that's why I just choose to use the word harmony.
The reason I ask that is because we are absolutely speaking the same language, as we've discussed before. I love the word harmony, the word balance. Somebody always loses or something always loses. Whereas when you come into, it's important. I'm absolutely agreeing on the importance of it. And I still find that when we can come into harmony, we can blend things. What would you like to leave our audience? What tip would you like to leave our audience with?
We're a work in progress and we need to be gentle with ourselves. And we are all on this journey for the same goal, leaving the world a better place, and as gently as possible. And there's always someone out there that can support and guide. Always. We just need to look in the right places.
Would you suggest people look within themselves as well?
Definitely. That is where the journey starts. It's within.
Beautiful. People, with that beautiful nugget from the wonderful Elana Swart-Traut, I would like to say goodbye for now, and just absolutely thank you so much for Elana. Thank you, Elana, for your time, for the space, and for the conversation. Thank you again for being here and for the difference you make.
Thank you, Janine, and thank you for having me.
Oh, that's my pleasure. Absolutely. I always learn from you every time we speak. People, until next week. Bye-bye.